Good evening, everybody. We've got a nice turnout here. I'm glad that you're here. Glad that Laurent has his friends and family, and we get to share and we get to mix together. I'm going to go ahead and get started since this is a school night. I've got a lot to share with you, and it's actually just going to be, in many cases, it's going to be a summary and kind of pass through several of these. But before we get started, we do want to do one thing. We want to wish, on the count of three, everyone say with me, happy birthday, Sean. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Sean! Yay! And today is his birthday. We will have a couple of little presentations tonight, myself and what we went out to do and wanted to accomplish. I'll have Dr. Muki. She is a guest with us tonight. I hope you get a chance to meet her. She is a wonderful lady with a vast knowledge of the church in Rwanda and studies, and she has an amazing story, and unfortunately, we'll give her just a small portion of time to share it. But please visit with her. She is a wonderful, wonderful lady with a lot of knowledge on the churches there. Before I get started, I also want to say this: thank you for your support. This congregation was very generous in what we wanted to do. I talked about it a lot in devotionals and in conversations. 3 things that we wanted to accomplish. One was the Bibles, another was to visit the church that we supported, and another we added refugee camps. We visited those, and we added a motorcycle ministry through the church that Dr. Muki and her husband serve at. The area that we were in is this Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi area. There's a big lake right there. That's Lake Victoria. There's another lake there, Lake Tanganyika. I'm going to talk about Lake Tanganyika at the very end because something interesting happens there. The first week we were here in Kigali to let you know that our State Department lists Rwanda and Uganda as level 2 security areas. It's safe to travel. Burundi is a level 3. And on the chart it says, think again. And we spent 4 days there. This is Laurent and I ready to leave. We had luggage. And a lot of this luggage was not our personal luggage, but what, Laurent? 250, something like 250 dresses that we would be taking to the refugee camps. Here's our suitcases. I need to tell you something. That you are allowed 1 carry-on and 2 other bags. Anything beyond that, they charge you for extra bags. Some of you may know that. They also charge you for overweight bags. So these 250 dresses that we were taking to the refugee camps cost us $500 just before we left O'Hare. We ended up arriving in Kigali through 24 hours of travel, and we have an interesting story there. As we're about to land, apparently we were wheels down and we're looking out over the window. I'm thinking, man, 24 hours, 14 hours on one flight, we're ready to land. And the pilot pulls back and we rocket off of the runway. And Laurent is holding on to the back of the seat. Mark, what is this? What is this? I'm going to tell you, friends, his knuckles were as white as mine. We had, fortunately, and as we're making the circle, I'm sitting here praying, and I'm thinking, oh, no, God. Oh, no, God. You did not bring me all the way to Kigali just to smack me on a runway on top of another airline. Oh, no, God. So that was our prayer. Here we are at the Kigali. This was part of our welcoming committee. Dr. Muki and several others met us at the airport. We make it over to the hotel, a very pleasant greeting. I want you to notice the young lady in the red right there. Notice how she's staring at me. This happens to be Laurent's niece, Specious. and she becomes my interpreter for the next 4 days. I think she just got told that. Are you sure I have to interpret for him? One of our biggest projects was the Bibles, and I talked about it a lot. We ended up buying 250 Bibles and 50 songbooks. There's only one publisher in Rwanda, and they get their asking price for Bibles in Swahili, and it was about $18 US per Bible. We bought them right away. These Bibles ended up making a journey on their own. We had to put them on a bus to go to Uganda, and then from Uganda they had to get over to Burundi, and we didn't catch up with them. This was on Tuesday. We didn't catch up with them until the following Friday, and then they had to be transported to the Congo. This is the Bibles the following Friday, and this young man helped us keep those Bibles secure so that they wouldn't be robbed, taken from black market, or sold. And he helped us get them there. This is them loading them into the car. This car will take these Bibles to the Congo and still go through two borders, and then on the head by transport, up, 2-day journey up to the top of the mountains to get to the villages these Bibles were intended to. I've shared with many of you, these Bibles have more mileage on them than Paul's missionary journeys combined. This happened to be an interview. The one gentleman on the far side here, he's from the Congo. This other gentleman is one of the pastors of the Living Hope Church of Christ. And this interview has gone, I don't want to say viral, but it's got like 600 and some hits, and it's gone to multiple countries. And this whole conversation, and Lauren interpreted for me, this whole conversation is about the journey these Bibles have taken and the charity that we're providing. And this is another conversation we were having outside the church for it. This is the gentleman who actually helped us get them to the village. The other part of our journey, we supported a church. Last year, we raised several $1,000s for a church in need. This particular church, and Dr. Mookie pointed this out to me, from the genocide in 1995, a lot of people were encouraged to go to the church. You would be safe, and the other tribe would destroy the church. This happens to be one of the churches on the way to the church we supported. And it's just this clear evidence that history is to remind us, in this particular area, of the 1 million people that were killed in the genocide, you estimate there's about 45,000 that were killed just in this area, and they're still finding bones and remains of these. It's just tragedy. And Dr. Mookie will speak on the role of the church in a little bit. This is last year's picture. This is Dr. Roderick. He is the pastor of the church that we helped. Notice the walls were mud, and if you all will remember, they needed to put 15 windows in, 2 doors, and a floor, and what ended up being a bathroom. Notice I didn't say plumbing. This was last year. This is the children laying on the ground. This is a congregation picture of that church last year. These were some of the pictures that I shared with you to raise the funds. This is the picture we had last year. This is 1 year later. This is the donation that we sent, the $3,000, almost $3,200 for this building to be completed. There's the before, 1 year later, and there it is. Any idea what this little building over here to the far corner might be? Just take a guess. Well, I'll show you the picture in a minute. This is the inside. You can see the walls are all done. The floor is nice and smooth and clean. This is Laurent, myself, Dr. Mookie, and Spacious, our interpreter, Laurent's niece, and that was a good time there. This particular, I guess, you know what? I left out the latrine. I guess I wanted to save your stomachs. It is literally a building with holes in it. This church, this is Dr. Roderick. This is what, Laurent? This is our second day. This is our second day. Dr. Mookie was with us here. We traveled. These young men are to be baptized. They were waiting for us to get there. Please notice one thing. They're all in their only shirt and their only pant. They changed out. There was 10. 2 have already walked away to change out. We found 2 T-shirts and 2 pair of pants. They used the same T-shirt and the same pair of pants over and over and over and over just to keep their only shirt and only pant dry in the baptistry. This is Lauren and I baptizing 2 of them. We had to rent the pool. There's no water. The water resources, as you might imagine, are difficult. We had to rent the pool to what would be $2 per person U.S. And these boys later came to church that I just showed you. This is the office of that church. He has a lot of books. He's a well-studied young man. I'm very impressed with him. He is really preaching the word. Lauren and I took with us 4 baptism gowns. We did not use any of them. We gave them away to some of the pastors that were there. This is the pastor of the church that we sponsored. This was taken after we left. Am I right? You sent me this one. And he posted this on his Facebook after we left, that others were being baptized in that same pool. He loved that baptism gown. Some of you know that that third world countries or other countries use a lot of motorcycles for their taxis. It blew me away. They swarm your car like bees, only to find out bees is one of the words they don't have in their vocabulary. So that one was difficult. Even Dr. Mookie had a hard time trying to find a word to match their language of bees. I'm thinking mosquitoes, hornets, and they just don't have those. But boy, they have motorcycles. And you give a couple inches, a foot between your car, you'll get 6 motorcycles right away. They'll load up as many as 1, 2, 3. We saw 4 people on one motorcycle one time. Women carrying babies will get a taxi ride there. Dr. Mookie, beautiful as she is, and in this beautiful address, one day we left a restaurant. She gets on a motorcycle and rides away. So, and here's another picture of the motorcycles. Lauren and Dr. Mookie had the idea, these people work for very little, very little. What did you tell me, as much as maybe $10 a day U.S.? Less than $10 a day U.S. as a taxi. In Rwanda, they are required to wear a helmet, and they are also required for their passengers to have a helmet. So many times a passenger may carry their own helmet, or the driver will have 2 helmets. Anyway, they have very strict helmet laws. There's over 50,000 motorcycles registered in Kigali alone. So their idea was, let's have a ministry that blesses these motorcycles. This is outside of Dr. Mookie's, her congregation, her church that she attends and supports. We ended up almost 100 motorcyclists. And they came in, they parked, they heard the message, they were there for an hour and a half, and we shared with them, just one of those thoughts that come to your mind, the laws provide you to have a helmet to protect your head, and we're going to give you the gospel to protect your heart. And that was our theme through our conversation. And just another picture of that. And I'm just smiling just because I think this is the coolest thing. It looks like I'm about to get run over by 100 motorcycles. And off they went. The other thing that we wanted to do was was go to some of the refugee camps. This white spot, those little white dotted spots in the upper part of the mountain, that was one elevated view that we were able to look out into this particular refugee camp. Lauren, if I remember, this is on the border. This is Rwanda, on the border of Rwanda and Rwanda and Uganda. It's on the border for a reason, away from the city. There is an estimated 25,000 refugees in that camp. And that was from a distance, and I've even expanded it to fit the PowerPoint. This is one of the houses along the way. It's actually a small store, the way I cropped it, but they've got some clothing they're just trying to sell there. We are now in the first refugee camp, an example of the houses. This is some of the congregation after we had a leadership conference, after we spoke to them, gave some encouragement. This is some of the houses outside the church. This is common. Friends here from Centerville, we have reached out to this community, this 10-mile community. A lot of the people that we have supported are refugees from this area. As a matter of fact, we went to one of the houses that one of the refugees came from, that house here to the U.S., and we've supported them. I just had to show this because it looks real missionary, right? As we're going through the part, and this is one word that Laurent taught me. Of all the language, I had him teach me one word. He taught me Mzungu. Mzungu. Right? Mzungu, white man. So as we're driving through the refugee camp, we're hearing all of these little kids, Mzungu, Mzungu, Mzungu. If you look at this one little girl, the smallest girl in there, she was reluctant. And I'm telling you, some of the kids saw me and started crying like they saw a ghost or the only white man they've ever seen in their life. It took, these other girls were encouraging her to hug me. He won't hurt you, he won't hurt you. And eventually she does. And so that was a big worth it for me. This is another refugee camp. Notice that here, Laurent, this is the second one we went to. These are mostly from the Congo. Yeah, these ladies have lost their husbands in the Civil War or through the jungle warfare that's going on in the Congo right now. They're in a refugee camp and they are trying to worship and serve God. And they are doing the best that they can with the means that they have available. This is a picture outside of some of the lady leaders of the congregation because there's very few men that are available there. I wanted to put this picture in. Notice the baby wrap. This is how they carry their children everywhere they go, including a motorcycle. Am I right? This was just fun. All these kids wanted to gather around. They knew very little English. You want to know what the English was? Give me money. They're learning early. This is a two-story house right next door to the church. I ended up with 9 different interpreters. Hard to believe, right? It's not because I wore them out. It's just because we went to different areas. And so this next little bit, I just want to show you a couple of the interpreters. This is a couple that Dr. Mookie and Laurent know extremely well. This is Jacques, and he was my first interpreter, a very intelligent man, and he interpreted for me. He's sitting at a table right here like you and I are, and interprets Dr. Mookie and interprets Laurent and tries to interpret the songs. One thing that I've noticed, and I want to share, and I'll probably repeat it, and you'll say, yeah, Mark. One thing that I noticed that song and prayer and praise in any language is song and prayer and praise to our Lord God. And while they would interpret to me, you would get lost in the melody and knowing that God is hearing every word, understanding it, and accepting the praise and the beauty. This was a Specious, I never say her name right. I wanted to adopt her, bring her back, and let Claire claim her as a new sister. She is a school teacher and has, Lauren, over 800 students, super intelligent. And she was with us for a couple of days. This was one interpreter for Sunday morning. On one Sunday morning, Laurent and I separated. He went to one church, I went to another church, and it was about 400 people in each church. This lady, I had her laughing so hard as I was preaching that she would laugh and then stumble in the interpretation and they wouldn't get the joke. Lost in the interpretation. But she was wonderful. This young man was another interpreter that I had. Now we're in Uganda. This young man has a prison ministry that is absolutely amazing. He has government access, and it's hard to get, to go into 10 different prisons and preach the gospel. I said, what do you need? And he said, well, one of our problems is we need to baptize these people. I'm brilliant. I can be really quick after a good breakfast. I said, I know what we'll do. I'll help you raise money to get portable baptistries. Mark, that's a good idea, but we don't have any water. Who said water? We don't have any water. Oh, brilliant idea. Fail. Now we're on a border, and we're going from Uganda to Burundi. I want you to notice something about this picture. Number one, all that luggage, we're now downsizing. This is Laurent and my luggage. We are no further than what Dayton, Ohio is to Lexington, Kentucky, and in essence, we would be stopped at the river. That this Beatles Abbey Road impression right here, that's the borders between two countries. Those two men that are over here to the left, those are our hosts for the next 4 days. They're the preachers of the congregation that we're going to be working with. All they can do is look at our luggage. If they cross that border, what would happen to them? They get in jail. They get arrested. They cannot touch our luggage. We were there for 3 hours going through immigration. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Where are you going to go? At least that's what I thought they said. Laurent had a different interpretation. Once we crossed the border, we weren't done yet. The guards wanted to go through our luggage, and they confiscated something Laurent was smuggling, some coffee or something. What was it? It was something they pulled out. Medication, yeah. Anyway, they go through your luggage, and if they have something there that they want, for whatever reason, they will take it. This started to fascinate me. One of the things, this next little series is what I call balance. Everywhere they go, they carry the weight either on their heads or on a bike. It's perfect balance, unbelievable balance. One of the pictures I wish I had, but it's something that I saw a lady with a basket on her head. She had not one, not two, but 12 watermelons in that basket, carrying a baby. You see it all the time. So this next couple of slides is all about balance. This is, I think this is eggs on a bike being balanced. This is their local beer. Cases of beer being balanced on a bike. A young man riding it up a hill. I don't know what this is. It's probably bananas. There's a stem there. All perfectly balanced. They carry stuff on the back of a bike that you and I would want a pickup truck for. There is 9 sheets of plywood on the back of this bike, and he's pedaling it. Anybody need to move a bed soon? We'll just put it on your head and carry it down the road. There's 3 mattresses. This is on a bike. I don't know, in fairness, I don't know if those water jugs are full or not, but that's how they would get their water. And I think they're 5-gallon buckets. If they are full, water is 8 pounds a gallon. So multiply that by how many buckets there is, and I think the guy's moving from one country to another personally, but I didn't ask. I just saw the picture. We were on the border for 3 hours. I had to do something. This one intrigued me too. These 2 young men are carrying bananas, perfectly balanced on the bike. Laurent and Spacious stopped. They bought a bundle of bananas. And I don't mean go to Kroger's and there's 6 of them wrapped. I mean a full stem bundle for $3.50. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but I try to have a small workout routine. And a couple of the weights are 45-pound weights, one exercise I do. That bundle of bananas for $3.50 US was easily 75 to 80 pounds. And they were all over that bike. Imagine one bundle. There was probably 6 bundles in there. In Burundi, they have limited gas. Limited gas. As a matter of fact, the gas stations will have as long as a 2-mile line. And people will get out of their car, put their number in line, you get a phone call when you can come and get the gas. Taxi drivers, motorcycles. So they don't have gas for their, these are landscapers right outside our hotel. They don't have gas for gas motorized equipment. And they're using axes and handsaw, anything they can get. And they are doing one devil of a job on their landscape. This one is interesting to me. There are T-shirts given everywhere. Obviously, a lot of charitable communities are giving away stuff. T-shirts are getting there, Goodwill. We've heard all kinds of rumors that the losing Super Bowl team gets T-shirts out there. I didn't see any losing Super Bowl teams. I do know that Nike shirts and Under Armour shirts are of high value. This is an emblem. You guys all know that I'm in the fire business. This says Muskegon County Fire Training. They don't have an organized fire service in there. One of the words they don't have in their language is firefighter, because they don't have a fire service. It just so happens, folks, this is a God incident, I'm telling you. This is the only work thing I did. I see this gentleman in a hotel lobby. Coincidentally, I'm working on a contract in Muskegon County, Michigan, outside of Grand Rapids, that if I'm awarded will be a $500,000 piece of business. That bid opened that afternoon that I saw him. Coincidence? I haven't been awarded yet, but I think this is an omen. All right, this is our beach at the hotel. Looks luxurious, right? Yeah, well, it was nice, and we were there for safety and security reasons. But don't let that picture deceive you. That's Lake Tanganyika. There's 4 countries that border that lake. One of the problems that they have is boats coming from the Congo to rob hotels and people along that lake. It's a huge lake, one of the 2nd largest lakes in the world. This is an armed military guard with a Russian rifle, and he is watching for any boats that may come ashore with the intent to rob. He's also watching for this guy, a hungry, hungry hippo. They come out of the mountains and they'll float around the water, and as nice, as cute, as cuddly as they are, they will have you for dinner quickly. So Laurent and I were afraid that at any given moment, any night, we would hear Russian machine guns shooting and be confused if they're going after a hippo or somebody trying to rob us. But we had a guard present always. We met a lot of people along the way. I did this. Laurent, you want to tell me who this lady is? Dr. Mookie knows her. This beautiful lady and I had a staring contest. I honestly believe she's just absolutely beautiful. The terminal we were in is no bigger than this, and I got her, I looked at her, man, she is just beautiful. Oh, Mark, stop looking. And then I would look over, and she's looking at me. And I looked down, oh no, I'm the only white man in the terminal. And we're looking. Laurent has gone off to do whatever Laurent does before we fly. And we catch each other's eye for a long time. She goes to get in line. She's on first class. She gets in line first. And she's looking at me, and she finally starts approaching me. And I'm thinking, oh, no. I've now made this awkward. I'm a white man looking at a beautiful woman. Oh, no. What have I done? I'm on a missionary trip. Oh, boy, this is awkward. And she says, I know your friend. I know your friend. What? I'm here by myself. I know your friend. Turns out she is the Celine Dion of Rwanda. She is one of the most popular singers in Rwanda. and they grew up together. I'm telling you, everywhere I went, everybody knew Lauren, and Lauren said, oh, here's Mark. These two men have become my heroes. These men are the pastors of the Living Hope Church of Christ. We baptized 10. This is now Monday morning. It's now 9 o'clock. One of the values that we have when you do a trip like this, value of a good driver and the value of an interpreter. I had 9, had 4 drivers, all great. We had one driver that we spoke with all weekend, and Sunday night, Lauren, I get choked when I think, because this is just the coolest story. This is our driver. Her name is Nadine. This is now Sunday morning. She's having breakfast with us. She's been our driver Thursday night, Friday, Saturday evening. She knows we're missionaries. She knows we go to this church. Saturday night, she brings us back to the hotel. We invite her. We find out she's got a son, her little son there. We invite her to have breakfast with us in the morning. Have breakfast. Be our driver. We'll pay you. Be our driver. Meet us here for breakfast. Bring your son. She brings her son, and we go to church together. And the 2 gentlemen I just showed you, they welcomed her, and we made her a special guest. She's there with the missionaries. And Lauren just opens up what's holding you back, what hinders you, kind of. And she asks, what do I need to do? And Lauren talks to her that Sunday night about being baptized. This is her when we left the hotel, when she dropped us off at the airport, now 1 o'clock. But that was her at 9 o'clock in the morning. She came to the hotel. We were finishing up breakfast. She came to the hotel and she said, I want to be baptized. By the way, that one was free. But she has become a friend, and this is her receiving a Bible from the Living Hope Church of Christ. This is my last slide. Here, if you want those of you who are in numbers, we did 250 Bibles to the villages. We spoke 21 different times, an estimated combined estimate of 2,000 people. We traveled 3 countries, 3 congregations, 3 refugee camps, and 3 conferences. We gave communion to over 400 people. I took, in one of my bags was some of our communion pieces, and some of them had never taken communion. And as I'm introducing it, please keep in mind, I am a foreigner. I am a white man, and I'm going to give these strangers this cup. Okay, drink it. And to walk them through, and Lauren was great in translating, and it was a beautiful moment all the way around. We met countless people with unbelievable hope and faith. You know, we as a congregation, we study deep the Word. We study deep the Word. We unveil the Scriptures. Houston used the word, we peel it back like onion. All they want to know is the hope and love of Jesus Christ, that somebody else cares. We visited multiple opportunities, baptized 11. I had 9, went through 9 interpreters. These 2 were 2 of them. 4 drivers. We established seeds to grow. We talk often about a 10-mile radius. We've also established seeds in a 10,000-mile radius. We prayed. I saw 2 presidents walk by us. 2 presidents. That's the story. Saw 2 presidents. We saw a presidential motorcade and 2 prime ministers pass us, but one sat beside us one night at the hotel. Nonetheless, every opportunity I had in my heart, I prayed for the leaders of that country or whatever their roles are. And that's a biblical responsibility. And I was happy to do that. And of course, we had 2 celebrities. And for all of that, I want to say to the congregation, thank you very much for your prayers, for your support, for your financial contributions. You can see what your prayers, what your money did. We planted seeds and gave hope. When we delivered the Bibles, the one thing that strikes me, and then I'm going to invite Dr. Mookie if she would come up. One of the things that strikes me, here in America, we have Bibles in every hotel room. Every hotel room in America. And yet we're in a country who is just starving for a couple of them. It just blows me away. And so to that I say thank you. Dr. Mookie, I want to introduce, this is my friend. Would like for you to come up and speak a little bit and share with us some of the things that you shared with me and what's on your heart and your mission work over there.
Yeah.
Here you go. It's all you. My friends, Dr. Mookie.
Yes, thank you. Hello. Thank you. I think he presented a lot and they did a lot of work because in some few weeks they managed to travel in 3 countries, which is a huge work, a missionary work, but they did it because of your support. Thank you so much. They have been so blessed in Rwanda, in Uganda, and Burundi, but also for us it was a blessing. Not only blessing, but a healing. My name is Dr. Muke. I am a pastor in the Presbyterian Church in Rwanda. My everyday work is teaching at the theological seminary. So I knew Roland long time before he came here in the US, and he invited me to join the trip of missionary him and Mark. So I shared some stories about Rwanda, especially the issue of hope. I start where he left. He showed you one of the picture of the church which was destroyed during the genocide in 94 against the Tutsi. So people, especially the Tutsis who are targeted to be killed, they hoped that the safe place is the church. But unfortunately, when they went there, they were all killed inside. And we visited one of the memorial site, where we found a lot of pain and also bones which are kept there as memorial. Bones are kept for a reason. One of the reasons of keeping those memorial sites of the people who were killed, it is for the purpose of teaching the next generation. Because genocide happened in 94, but there were many massacres in Rwanda that happened in different occasions. In 59, 62, 64, 73, 92, then final solution to exterminate all the people was 94. So the keeping bones and memorial site, it is for the purpose of teaching the new generation, the future generation, they never again to genocide. And that is what happening in DRC, the neighboring countries. The people who speak the same language, the Kinyarwanda or the Tutsi in DRCs, are targeted. Most of them, the refugees that they visited, they belong to that tribe who are targeted to be killed in DRC every day. And so thank you for hosting them in the USA. So our program, as theologian, I started an organization known as SACO of Concerned African Women Theologians with a purpose of bringing hope for women, because women in Rwanda and many African countries were vulnerable because of the culture, but also because of religion. As he showed you some pictures with balance. If you remember some of the pictures, women carry at their heads, not on the bicycle. They also carry the baby in the womb, but also the other baby at the back. You can feel that pain, how heavy it is. So, as a woman who is educated, I feel that pain because I grown up in that context. So our aim of our project is to empower women, but also to do advocacy, because they also many women face gender-based violence, especially domestic violence, physical abuse, assault, and whatever. So they end up by being frustrated and traumatized and mental issue because of that suffering. So our aim in my project is to empower women from the lower level, the grassroots level, especially those in the rural areas, who are not educated. So this is our aim, to raise their voice, to create a space where they can share their painful stories. Normally we call them rewrite our history. Then women history, we call it her story. The aim of our project is to create a space whereby we can send a message of hope, but also they can share that painful story because it can be a way of healing. So this is one of the projects, and in this way, we empower women, especially in Rwanda. We have some cases, especially now we are focusing on young women because we can't reach all women. But we started with young women, especially the teen mothers, women who are pregnant before age, the teen mothers. They got pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy while they are at primary school, high school, for the reason. Some of them were not educated on how to use body control, but also the culture and the religion do not allow us to teach our children about sexual reproductive health. So they end up being pregnant at 14, 16, 18, and they become very vulnerable because of the society, how the society treats them. When they are pregnant or they get babies at that age, most of them, they were rejected because they can't go back to school because they carry their babies. So they end up by not being educated. Secondly, they were rejected in their own families because according to my culture, having a baby before marriage, it is like you are bringing shame in the house. Then the parent, they chase them away. They were excluded from their families, rejected, isolated, stigmatized. Not only in the families, but also even in the church. As a pastor, some of the churches, they don't accept them in the churches because they consider them as the most sinners, immoral and sinners. They don't allow them to worship, to come to church. They end up being excluded in the church, in the society, and in the family. But also, their future is desperate. So our project is to empower those women, these young women. How can we bring them some hope, but also have a space to hear their stories, their painful stories, but also create a space where they can feel that they are accepted. So how do we help them? We train them on the issue of sexual reproductive health right, but also on gender-based violence and gender justice because they are violated everywhere and discriminated everywhere. But also, we try to help them with vocational training because if they don't go back to school, they can do some skills like tailoring or making some hair in order to make sure that at least they can earn something. That is how we support them. But on the other hand, on the side of bringing hope, we also train pastors. Why do we train pastors? Because pastors, it is like we want to create awareness about the issue that people are facing. How can the church be a community which include and accept the people, an inclusive community, but also create awareness about the mental issue and trauma healing. That is the program we were together with Roland in some place where we also have some pastors where we talk about trauma healing. In Rwanda, as I go back to what he said about the genocide, we have a lot of people who are, many people are traumatized. Normally, Rwanda is known as traumatized nation, a collective trauma. Why? Because most of Rwandan people experienced a lot of trauma because of what they saw. Some researchers and reports show that at 99% of Rwandan witnessed violence. It also showed that 31% of Rwandan, they witnessed rape and sexual violence, while 69% of Rwandan, they witnessed killing and injury, while 57 Rwandan witnessed killing with machete while people were killed by cutting them like bananas. So 90% of Rwandan believed that they will be killed at any time. So 62%, they were threatened with death. All this kind of trauma related to what they experienced, now it is no longer to those who have seen this, but it is transgenerational trauma. So we are bringing hope to this generation, whereby how can we, because we are not aware about mental issue related to this trauma, so we are trying to create, how can we create a trauma healing center, but also preach the message of hope, whereby people are aware of what is going on in their mental issue. So thank you for being there for us. Thank you for listening to us. When Mark came, he was surprised that in my presentation I talk about the issue related to genocide against the Tutsi, because he thought that it was not good according to what they had, what you had here. But for us, it is good to talk about it because it is part of healing. But also during genocide, and what is going on in our neighboring country in Congo, DRC East, where the Banyamulenge are suffering, it is like the nation are silent. They are just watching. They are silent. So during those killings, all the nation were watching on the TV. So for us, having people like Mark and other people who support the ministry for healing, it is part of our healing. We see that we are no longer rejected, but people are involved at least to do action and to bring hope to this nation, not only in Rwanda, but in DRC, in Burundi, because we all suffer the same issue. Thank you so much for supporting the ministry.
Lauren, I mean, folks here, think about this. Your government tells you to go to church and pray and you'll be safe. And that was just the reason for them to get that many people quickly. And so for years, as you shared with me, for years after that, people were afraid to go to church. And so now churches are turning into a trauma healing center. Houston has talked about that. We've talked about that. The church as a healing center for the broken. And we're all broken. We've all had Lawrence speak many times. He's had too many, not enough. As Laurent and I traveled around, we had a little thing that we were brothers from another mother. And it worked. That one they got. But even though we're different backgrounds, we were raised different areas, we're still preaching, teaching the same hope and love of Jesus Christ. Lawrence, share your heart.
All right. So during our this mission trip in Africa, we had a chance to know each other and spend time together. So number one, I just want to thank this church, the partnership, the love, and how you guys open your heart for the new people join here. I think that God has been doing something new. It's not many people might notice this or might know that. So for what I noticed this couple years, it's not we are here because only flee, but we are here for a reason. Maybe God has sent us here for a reason. Either, I don't know, I'm not going to say what, but one of them is God might send us here as a missionary to revive those people are going to die in this generation, in this country. But other side, the people might see us as a refugee, but God is doing something new. The reason why I say that, when a few years ago when I spoke to Mark and we decided we're going to go to Rwanda, you can see our partnership, how him and I, we are impacting people there at the same times where God is using us here. So that's number one. Second is, I want to just touch what Dr. Muke says about pastors. I really have, my heart is in hope, to bring hope to those who lost their hope. When we trained the pastors there, we were so surprised. Dr. Muke and I, they would come and said, how about 2 days? How about 1.5 days we can stay at the same place and cry out and just have a safe place there we can share what's going on in our heart. But it was only 1 hour or 2 hours. So that's how you can see if the pastors are broken that way, imagine other people on behind. They so broken. So we just say that thank you for your help, and we still have more to do. That's why I was sharing with him, like, we still have more to do. You will be surprised when we have lunch, like what we just have right here. When you go there, you see how people are striving. They don't have something to eat. You said, sometimes I spend $7 for coffee. Why someone is making $7 for 22 days? So people are struggle and they need a prayer. So we do plant a Living Hope Church of Christ in Burundi, which has a lot new generation. It's a metro city, and Muslim are very bright now. What they're doing right now, they go in the city like those. They took young generation and they take them to the Kuwait and Libya and other Muslim countries. What they do, they give them scholarship. When they went to their college, they just pull them religion into them. They said, no Christian, no Christian. When they go back, because it's young generation, they totally change the Christianism right now. So that's the way now they're using to go to take those cities. So the one of our church and then in Burundi, we find that out, like now the land, the way they worship right now, they kick them out. They said that they want to build there because the Muslim buy that land. So what does that mean? That means they just want the Christian to leave the place and they can put those Muslim generation. Please help us to pray for the church. And also, another thing touched my heart and his heart. Many of the young people in Burundi, that church, are refugees flee from Congo. But they young, they energized, but they can't work. Even the last job there, you can think about it, is, I always said maybe serving in a restaurant. They can't have that job. That means they live in our country for 20 years, 16 years, 15 years, but they can't do nothing. So what we need, no citizenship. They can't travel. They can't go to Congo. They can't go anywhere else. They just stuck in a city and they can't do anything. Number one, those Muslims who has money, they might come and abuse those young ladies or turn around the vision on those young people who are there. So our prayer is really, Mark and I, we decided to pray nonstop that church can bright and can live in Burundi. Also, how we can continue to support and empower the pastors, and also to work with the Dr. Muke Muke, about those young stigma on the young girls. So thank you for this church and the community. And also, I really, really, really appreciate Mark and his wife and family. Imagine, Mark, was the first time to travel to Africa without knowing anywhere else except Canada. So you can imagine 10,000 mileage to go there without language, without knowing where you're going to sleep, what are you going to eat. But he trusts in me. So what happened? Here he is. He's safe. He came back safe. So thank you for giving me that opportunities and loves us. Thank you so much. And we are so proud to have the partnership between those two churches, the Living Hope Church here and the Church of Christ here in Centerville. Thank you.
One of the things we ended up, we roomed together, and one of the reasons was to keep our costs down, but yet to get a hotel room that was safe enough, had hot water, and good food. And so we were together a lot. And as you might imagine, he would do something that would be a benefit to me. I would do something that might be a benefit to him. So the phrase for 2.5 weeks was, I take care of you. I take care of you. He would do something for me, and I would say thanks, and he'd say, I take care of you. I take care of you. So that was our phrase. I take care of you, and we did that. Not last Sunday, Sunday a week ago, after our services, you invited me to preach at your service. You guys know that they preach out of the Living Hope Church right down here. They, in essence, lease a part of that. And I noticed that within just a little bit of a walking distance, he serves a demographic, we serve a demographic, and yet we're all serving the same God. We're all working together. There's things that he can do at his congregation that we can't do. There's things in our congregation that we can do for him that they can't. And that's the mutual benefit of hope, love, faith, hope, and love is what I'm wanting to say. That's the beauty of shared gospel. And that's the beauty of what we did when we were there. We were preaching the great commandment. And as simple as that was, I realized quickly there's a lot to be done. A lot to be done. So not only do we have this connection in our 10-mile radius, that
Before we pray, please, can I say something? So all this connection, please help me. All this connection, all this trip, all this mission trip, it happened when I met one person here, which is Gary. Gary, can you stand up, please? The first person I met.
That's one connection. And from that, and here we are. Thank you all for being here. I know it's a school night. Please stick around fellowship if you'd like. Martin and I, Dr. Booth, will be here. Feel free to ask any questions. I love you guys. I appreciate the support, and thank you for letting us share our story and keeping us in prayer. Rich?
Let's bow. Father, we recognize what a great, awesome God you are, Father. We're so thankful to you for all the many blessings you do. Father, tonight we especially want to pray for the churches and the people in Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, that Mark and Lauren met. Pray, Father, that you will bless them with safety. Pray, Father, that you will bless them with hope. Pray, Father, that you continue to bless them with knowledge and your word and your will. Father, we pray for the two congregations here. We pray the same for us, Father, that we will have the hope that only comes from Jesus, that we will grow closer and closer to your will and grow closer and closer to you. And Father, we pray that we will support each other, that we will help each other to grow. Father, we thank you for Dr. Holton. We pray, Father, supporting the young women. Father, it's such an important thing. And we just pray your blessing on that. Father, you're such a good God. You're such a great God. We're just so thankful for all that you do and all that you are. We thank you for Lauren. And pray, Father, that